rip you apart so hard.
The verbal venom continues from Tony G.
He's the devil.
And you're going to suffer so much.
Welcome back to the channel, and for another episode of Where Are They Now? Poker Stars from the Boom Years. Before we start, I want to thank everyone who's commented on previous videos. If you haven't seen them, check them out. Your comments have directly related to the people that were picked for this video. So again, I appreciate it. Also appreciate like and subscribe. If you like and enjoy the video, then it would really help us, and YouTube seems to like it. So let's get started. Apologies to Antanas Guoga. If I just butchered your name, I'm very, very sorry. From here on out, I'll just call you Tony G. Tony was born in Lithuania back when it was part of the Soviet Union. At the age of 11, he and his family moved to Australia. Tony started playing poker at the age of 18, and he quickly developed the kind of the shtick that he's well known for. This intimidating, trying to instill fear in people, that manner. He did this at 18. And just as an aside, I want to ask you, have you ever been intimidated or felt fear by anyone who's 18 years old? I mean, if I played golf with Tiger Woods when he was 10 or 18, I probably would feel a little bit intimidated, but I just can't imagine sitting at a poker table. But with Tony at 18 years old and him carrying on like he did on television and all that. But, I digress. Let's just say I probably would have laughed and been mildly irritated, and I think most of you probably would have too. It's fun for about a minute. Tony appeared on the international poker scene in 2004 when he took second place in the WPT Grand Prix de Paris at the Aviation Casino in France, and he lost to Surinder Sunar. It was an action-packed day for the casino. If you recall from way back when, the casino had been robbed the morning of the final table at the cashier's cage, but none of the players' money was taken. So the casino had to deal with the robbery during the day, and then they had to deal with Tony G at night. But as we've seen in other player profiles, Madisal, being loud on TV is one way to get producers' attention, and Tony G did that. Tony made the rounds of many poker shows, often being paired up with people like Phil Hellmuth in hopes that, fireworks would erupt. Outside of his second place in 2004 in Paris, Tony's biggest accomplishment in poker was winning the 2005 EPT London Main Event. But, to his credit, he has a steady stream of cashes that have earned him over $11 million in tournament winnings over the years. In addition to being a force at the poker tables, Tony founded PokerNews.com in 2002. He was elected to the European Parliament in 2014 as a member from Lithuania. Tony's always maintained strong ties to Lithuania throughout his life, even though he's from Australia. He's originally from Lithuania, and he's been involved in many charitable causes that have benefited people in Lithuania, and in particular this year also with people from Ukraine. Tony still plays, and he plays well. He's had a number of cashes over the past couple of years in Eastern Europe, primarily in Cyprus. Today, he runs an investment company and a charitable foundation. Many of us who watched him in Paris 18 years ago thought the whole thing was a shtick, and it turns out it was. Tony's a nice guy. He's a smart businessman. He's a charitable guy. He helps people, and he's been overall a major benefit to the poker community. Let me ask you a question. What does cabbage-wrapped guinea hen with foie gras, morel mushrooms, yellow wine cream sauce, and ace-4 have in common? The answer is both resulted in second-place finishes for David Williams. David is best known in the poker community for his second-place finish in the main event in 2004, finishing second to Greg Raymer. He's also known for his final tables in WPT events, including winning the 2010 WPT World Championship. He might be better known by the public at large for his results in MasterChef. David competed in the American version of the show and took co-runner-up status. He was one of 3 finalists in the competition. That the final was seen by 4.5 million people. David won 6 cooking challenges in the popular TV show. Williams has always been involved in a wide range of pursuits. In the 1990s, he was involved professionally in the Magic Gathering competitions. He did well in several events until controversy struck in 2001. He was disqualified from the 2001 World Championships after it was discovered that cards were bent beyond acceptable limits. David denied cheating, but after several tests, it turned out that whenever the cards were cut, the bent cards, which were advantageous cards, were always the ones that popped up when they needed to be. He may not have cheated, but it was just a hell of a coincidence that the cards that he needed were the ones that were always, at the top. In addition to the disqualification, Williams was suspended for a year from Magic competitions. He would come back to play Magic after the year's suspension, but he started to focus his attention more and more on Texas Hold'em. Started playing online primarily. His 2004 entry into the main event was paid for by an online satellite, and he outlasted everybody but Raymer and got himself a $3.5 million payday. He has one WSOP bracelet from a 7-card stud event in 2006. Remember King of Vegas? It was a Spike TV show in 2006 that featured professionals and amateurs competing in a variety of casino games. Mattisau was in it. Hollywood Dave Stam, if you remember him, he was kind of like the blackjack version of Helmuth. Well, David did that too, and he took third place. David still plays. He cashed in several World Series events in 2022, including a 6th place in the $1,500 pot limit Omaha event. He also plays World of Warcraft Classic, which goes over well in my household because there's like 3 of us that play it here. Go to a WSOP final table now, and you'll probably be irritated by the number of fans that cheer on their player every little move they make. We get the enthusiasm, but some of these people are just painful to watch. But back in 2005, nearly everybody got behind the fans that were there cheering on Joe Hachem. Most of these fans were from Australia, and they were having a grand old time watching their guy play. Part of that was because of the makeup of the final table itself. It was probably one of the most laid-back final tables you'll ever see. Certainly more laid-back than in recent memory, and definitely it was a party atmosphere. ESPN did a really good job in producing that telecast because they brought out the personalities of the people involved. Steve Daneman, who wound up being in second place, had this very easygoing kind of like a, what am I doing here personality. And he was, very talkative. He was engaging with Joe Hachem. Hachem himself was this, cool as a cucumber Aussie who, was there. He was like the professional, but he was respectful. He was nice. It was really good television to watch. Hachem was born in Lebanon in 1966. At the age of 6, he and his family moved to Australia. Is this sounding familiar? Hachem started his professional life as a chiropractor, but unfortunately he developed this condition that made it nearly impossible to use his hands for his work, so he had to give up being a chiropractor. He then opened up a brokerage business, but then also started to play a lot more poker. The cool as a cucumber Hachem from 2005 wasn't always that way when he first started. He had quite the temper, and he had to learn to control his rage at the table because it was affecting his gameplay. Once he learned to control the rage, then, he started playing poker more seriously and taking it more seriously. He was a regular at Melbourne's Crown Casino, and he started to play a lot of smaller tournaments there. In 2005, he made his first appearance at the WSOP in Las Vegas, and as we know, he won that tournament, and he won $7.5 million. The following year, 2006, he won the World Poker Tour's 5-Diamond Classic at Bellagio, and that netted him an additional $2.2 million. He often popped up on TV shows in Australia and the United States, including Poker After Dark and High Stakes Poker. In Australia, he produced and starred in a reality show called The Poker Star. Joe is still involved in the poker community. He still plays, and he now also has a mortgage company that keeps him busy. In 2009, he was inducted into the Australian Poker Hall of Fame. Vanessa Russo was popular as a poker player and an activist for poker back in the early years of the boom. Russo, who holds a dual citizenship in both the United States and France, graduated with a degree in economics from Duke University, and she did it in only 2.5 years, which is quite the accomplishment. She then moved on to law school in 2003, but then kind of got away from that and didn't finish law school for quite a few years, about 15 more years, because of her desire to play more poker. That sounds familiar too. She parlayed a bankroll that was largely built up through playing sit and goes, and took that and started playing in bigger tournaments. She really didn't become that well known to the poker community until she took 7th place in the 2005 5-star World Poker Classic WPT event. Her best live event was the 2006 WPT event at the Borgata in Atlantic City. It was the $5,000 event that she won. Her appearance and personality helped get her sponsorships and appearances on shows like Poker After Dark. She was ranked number 18 in the Bleacher Report's sexiest women poker players in the world. For you curiosity seekers, Australian spokesmodel Tina Wallman was voted number 1. Remember the PokerStars $1 Million Challenge? She was on that. And in 2015, she was on Big Brother. She finished in 3rd place. After leaving the Big Brother house, Vanessa announced her engagement to Melissa Ouellette, her longtime girlfriend, and today they're married and living in Florida. One surprise I had when I was researching Vanessa was that her earlier marriage to a poker player and personality, Chad Brown, isn't mentioned anywhere. Brown was considered to be one of the, nicest guys in poker. He had a hosting gig on the Ultimate Poker Challenge at the Plaza. Remember that one too? That was a fun show. I like that one. Turns out that there's a dispute as to whether they were really ever married. I had not known that. If you knew that, feel free to comment. Tell me the whole story because I can't find much mention at all about the two of them, except for the fact that they separated in early 2012. They both went online to say that they had separated, but there was no real mention about divorce or anything like that. And there was a strike on her wiki page. I guess somebody had posted at one time that they were married, and there was a strike that said, no, they were never legally married. So there's a little intrigue for you. Sadly, Brown died on July 2nd, 2014. Russo was a sponsored pro by PokerStars until 2015. She finally did get that law degree in 2018. And as I mentioned, she's living in Florida with her wife and kids. I think we're at the point in the modern era of poker that we can have, meaningful debates as far as like who's the best cash player. If you're under 40, you're going to probably look at some of the online players, some of the ones that started online and played, then transitioned to live games, and some of them as being the best cash game players. But, and this can go over the past 20 years, who's played over the past 20 years. But I contend that if you go back 25 years, that I think that there's a general consensus in the poker community that the best cash game player at the time was David Chip Reese. Like Vanessa Russo, Chip graduated with an economics degree, although he got his from Dartmouth. He was accepted by Harvard, but he said no, he went to Dartmouth. On the way to Stanford Law School, Chip stopped off in Vegas, played some poker, never left. He had quickly built up a 6-figure bankroll and decided that a life of cards and sports betting was far superior to one of working in the law, and I agree with him. Reese won the first of 3 World Series bracelets in 1978 when he took the top prize in the $1,000 7-card stud split event. He later went on to rate the 7-card stud section in Doyle Brunson's Super System. His most notable victory was the inaugural $50,000 horse event in the 2006 World Series. So while he did pop up on the tournament scene every now and then, he was best known by professionals as one of the greatest cash game players ever. In 1991, Reese was inducted into the Poker Hall of Fame. On December 4th, 2007, the world was shocked to learn that Chip Reese had passed away. Contradicting stories came out as to, what the possible cause of death could have been. Most believe that it was he died in his sleep of pneumonia, while others, including Doyle Brunson and Barry Greenstein, thought that he might have developed a blood clot as a result of recent gastric bypass surgery. To many, Hoyt Corkins is rightfully known as Cowboy. He's got the look and all that. To me, Kenneth James is Cowboy. Sorry, Hoyt. But Hoyt has other nicknames, and I will go with the one that Phil Hellmuth tagged him with, and that was called Mr. Move All In. The nickname refers to Hoyt's aggressive, some call it reckless style of play. Hoyt was one of those people that let his chips do the talking at the table. He was soft-spoken. He often wore earplugs so he could tune out the other players chattering. Whatever he did, it worked for him some of the time. Hoyt won 2 World Series bracelets. He took first in 1992's $5,000 pot limit Omaha, and then he won in 2007 the $2,500 6-handed no-limit hold'em event. Since 2003, Hoyt has had a steady string of cashes. In 2022, he popped up at the World Series Senior event where he also cashed. Today, the 62-year-old Corkins reportedly still has a house in Vegas, and he's also had property for years and years in his home state of Alabama. Ireland-born and American-raised, Phil Laak was one of the most entertaining poker players of the past 20 years. Phil was always better known for his antics at the table than his results as a tournament player. His appearance with the sunglasses and the hoodie, gave him the nickname of the Unibomber. Phil's also known for his type of stream of consciousness rambling at the table. He's connecting dots that the rest of us don't see. Prior to professional poker, Phil played backgammon in New York. Phil was an early popular player on the WPT. He cashed in several events, and he won the WPT Invitational in 2004. Phil's probably better known, though, for his many, many TV appearances, and particularly his appearances with Antonio Esfandiari. For several years during the 2000s, Phil would pop up on shows like Poker After Dark, High Stakes Poker, and Poker Royale. Remember Poker Royale? Remember the show I Bet You? How about the E-Channel's Hollywood Hold'em? Phil was on both of those. He also had a cameo role in the 2008 Knight Rider made-for-TV film. Now 50 years old, Phil still plays. He's cashed in events pretty much every year for the past 20 years, so he's an active player. He lives in Southern California and has had a long-term relationship with actress and poker player Jennifer Tilly. Well, that's it for part 3. I hope you enjoyed it. Part 4 is on its way. Like, subscribe if you enjoy the video. If you click the notify button, you'll be told the next time one of these comes out, so you'll know when it's here and you'll know what to look for. And keep those comments coming. I really do appreciate it. I'll catch you on the next one.